Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Bop Rock for short. I'm over with Box, so I've got a random album review for you today, and it's John Norum's 1992 solo album, Face the Truth. So, John Norum left Europe in 1986 at the peak of their Final Countdown success, did his Total Control album, which is pretty good, although it doesn't have great production and is let down by some derivative songs. Then he joined Don Dokken and did the Up From the Ashes album. Has some fantastic guitar playing on that. A lot of it actually by Billy White, but John gets in on the act as well, and the guitar playing is absolutely top draw on that album. And in that period, I think John Norum's kind of upped his chops. His picking's cleaner. Obviously, I'm speaking in guitar speak here. His picking's cleaner. He's getting more technical stuff in. He's got his tone better. His vibrato smoothed off a bit, and he's becoming a more complete player. And I love his playing from this period. So when that finishes, he does the Face the Truth album. Now this was released Europe and Japan in April 1992. It actually wasn't released until 94 in the US, according to this, which pretty much sums up the era. This kind of music isn't going to hit the spot when everyone's listening to Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, etc. So he gets Glenn Hughes in on this to sing most of the lead vocals. There's 11 tracks on it. Let's have a look at it. So it's a good sounding record. It's got what I call sensible production. They've got out of their 80s thing. It's not swamped in reverb, but it's still quite big. The guitars are tight, the drums are good bottom end. This is a period where recording's still expensive, but I think it's easier for bands to make better sounding records in a studio for less time, so to speak. There's also that period where if it's been in Japan, Europe, Japan, I've just seen it Shrapnel in the USA, Mike Varney, obviously guitar label. It may be that Japan had a bit of money to punt. Peter Boltz plays bass as well. There's a guy called Hempo Hilden on drums. Joy Tempest does some co-lead vocals. Billy White plays some rhythm guitar, and Mickey D plays drums on the track. But anyway, it opens up with the title track Face the Truth, and this really sets out the stall. It's got a typical kind of 80s riff on it. Hughes' vocals are really good. It's got a catchy chorus, and it's got absolutely fucking ripping guitar solo from John. Really good opening track. Track 2 is called Night Buzz. Another co-writer on this is Michelle Meldrum, and so Michelle Meldrum was actually John Norum's wife. Maybe not then, it might have been girlfriend, boyfriend, but they married her. Sadly, she died of a brain cancer, brain tumour. So she was a good guitarist in her own right, and she played in the band Phantom Blue. So Night Buzz is probably the weakest track for me. John sings this. It's kind of got a sort of a Richie Blackmore style riff, but it's okay. It's not bad. Then you've got In Your Eyes, which is a really good power ballad. This is co-written with Hughes, Norum and Peter Boltz. So just say Glenn Hughes co-writes Face the Truth. So he's obviously said Glenn Hughes has gone, I'll do the lyrics and the melodies, collaborate that way. Great ballad again, superb guitar. Then he does a cover of Opium Trail. So Opium Trail is a slightly deeper cut by Thin Lizzy. So John Norum does this a lot. He's covered Wild One. He's come Killer Without a Cause. So he does a lot of stuff off the Bad Reputation Fighting album. Interesting cover, really good. It suits John's voice. He sings this one. Great guitar on it. What he does on this, he kind of gets the spirit of the Lizzy style soloing, but does it John Norum style. I really like it. So normally cover versions can be like, oh, it's a cover, but John Norum does his Lizzy covers really well. I think they're his all-time favourite band. Then you got We Will Be Strong. This is again probably my least favourite track on the album. This is a collaboration with Joey Tempest. The problem with this track is quite catchy and poppy, and John does a great co-lead vocal on this, but it sounds out of place with the rest of the album. It sounds kind of like a Europe track from 1986. You know, it was fitting in the Countdown era. It doesn't sit in with the kind of more classic rock-y metal, trad metal elements of this album. Good Man Shining's next. A good bluesy riff on this. A lot of co-writers on this. Very short track, 3 minutes 4. Again, not my favourite tracks, but a good track. Then you got Time Will Find the Answer next. This has got a really good groove, great Thin Lizzy style riff, really good harmonies. Billy White co-writes this as well. The harmonies really good in the chorus, and the same can be said for Counting on Your Love. This is another really catchy track. I guess if you're looking in comparison with this, it's kind of like a Gary Moore Run for Cover track. You know, if you remember Glenn Hughes sang on that album, it's got that sort of vibe. Goran Edman co-writes this. Goran Edman, the great singer who sang on for Malmsteen, also sings on Total Control album. Then it's got an instrumental called Indica, tune is 44. This is Norum and Peter Boltz writing this. Really good, really like this. John Norum was very good at doing short instrumentals. If you remember, he did Aphasia, is it, I think, on the Wings of Tomorrow album, which is an excellent instrumental. He does one called, can't remember, something about the wind on the Total Control. But this works really well. I really like the melody on it. I like the kind of riff. It's a little kind of different. It's got a different groove from your typical sort of instrumental guitar that time. And like sensibly, it doesn't outstay its welcome. Then you got Still the Night. Now this is Hughes Pat Thrall, Paul Delph. So my guess is this is a Hughes Thrall track that hasn't been used. Or maybe it's on the Hughes Thrall debut. I'd have to check that. And Glenn Hughes said, look, why don't we do this? Or maybe, look, I've got to have a cut on it. I don't know. It's a really good track. It works really well. And then it finishes with Distant Voices, which is nice and up-tempo and creates a good mirror with Face the Truth. So the opening track and the end track of a similar ilk. Throughout the production, solid. Like I said, the album doesn't sound amazing, but it's good. It's just a good sounding record. The singing's excellent by both Norum and Hughes. The playing's excellent. The guitar playing's superb. You know, give it an 8 out of 10. This passed me by when I was younger. Around this period, I didn't have a lot of money to check out albums. I didn't know anyone had a copy of this. It probably came out and I kind of probably lost a little bit of interest with things, Europe, Norum, Total Control, and I didn't sort of get a copy till much later on when I was kind of tracking down Norum stuff. And then I put it on one day in the car recently. I was like, oh, this is really good now. I've only come to it now, really. And I think this is absolutely his best solo album. And it forms a real purple patch for Norum's playing in this period with the Up From the Ashes album, this. And the album after this, Another Destination, which I quite like. It's not as good, but the playing's stellar. You know, his tone, his vibrato. You know, he does that thing, to me, John was like the Michael Schenker, Gary Moore, but with the 80s shred thing in it. But he's, fantastic on this. So, well worth checking out. Rock Candy, you've got a remaster of this, so if you can afford to splash out for that, it probably sounds pucker. I know that the European Japanese pressings, this is the track order I've given you, that's the one that Rock Candy has. Apparently the US, the shrapnel pressing was different. I'm not sure what the order was on that, but you know, if you pick up this pressing, this is the order, and I think it works. Okay, remember, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much.